Welcome into Colts Talk. I am Tom Downey, not Billy Beebe, subbing in. Billy's actually on a flight, so he's going to be in for some surprising news when he lands on the Jonathan Taylor extension. Going to break it down for you guys on today's show, presented by Prize Picks, by the way. The immediate details here on the Taylor extension: a 2-year deal, $44 million total. That is up to $47 million guaranteed. That's, again, $22 million per year, $39 million guaranteed as the Colts finish up the deal with Jonathan Taylor not long after the Bijan Robinson deal gets done by the Falcons. For more Colts videos, make sure you guys are subscribed. Free, simple, and easy to do. And we'll normally have Billy, but he's unavailable, so subbing in to get you guys the news on today's show. This makes sense to me, doing it especially now, timing-wise. I think bonus points for Indy, by the way, getting it done before a likely potential Jahmyr Gibbs extension that might save them a little bit of money per year. I am curious, where exactly we see the deal slotting in for Gibbs following the Bijan Robinson extension. Like, Robinson obviously gets a little bit more than Jonathan Taylor. Nice that Taylor was willing to take a little bit less, not demanding $23-24 million per year. A shorter extension, by the way. So, benefits to an extent, both sides. We'll go more in depth on that in a little bit of like why they're adopting that approach as well. But I like it for Indy. You are locking essentially in your core. You're tying him with Daniel Jones, which, different conversation, but you're tying him with Alec Pierce as well. Getting that deal done. And I give Taylor a lot of credit for not doing the hold in stuff or holding out stuff and just, fully expecting this deal to get done, and getting paid shortly after Bijan is a good thing for Indy. So happy that deal gets done. The running back market's moved up a little bit. It's not some crazy. I was looking at the numbers the other day of like when Adrian Peterson signed his deal, on the current like inflation rate, it's like $33 million or something ridiculous back when he was getting his huge deals. I mean, we're only just now getting to the point from a guaranteed money perspective that is surpassing what Ezekiel Elliott got with the Cowboys years ago. So the running back market still has not really grown at the same rate that other position groups have, but it is slowly and surely starting to go back up with a handful of players now at or above that $20 million threshold. So give me your one-word reaction to the JT extension. Head down to the pinned comment and let me know. Some more in-depth on the contract. Remember, he did have a year left on his deal, so this does not, tear that up or anything along those lines. He had 1 year, $13 million in cash left. That cash essentially gets, folded into the $39 million guaranteed. So of the new $44 million that he's going to have on the books, in addition to the 13, that puts him at 3 years, $57 million. So over the lifetime of this new 3-year deal, he's coming in about $19 million per year. I will say, I always focus on the new money side of things. There's two schools of thought on that. I am fully in on the new money side because that's how it works in free agency. Like that's what everything gets compared to, of like, yeah, you had that left, but what about the new money? Because that's all the stuff that was new. I think it's a little bit unfair I see like flirt this all the time of like, oh, well, it's really, he had 2 years left on his rookie deal, so it's really this. I'm like, yeah, but then you're like actually having the new guy take way less money. That doesn't make any sense. So I am always focused on the new money side of things. Of the new money that becomes now guaranteed, it's about $26 million. So that's going to be essentially this year, next year, and a chunk of his third year is going to be fully guaranteed. That's how that deal will almost certainly shake out. So it works out, I think, pretty reasonably on that front. I haven't seen the nitty-gritty details on like the signing bonus stuff yet or the structure. Would not be surprised this actually lowers Jonathan Taylor's cap hit this upcoming year, which is normally a good thing because you can always just roll it over. Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. It's time to cash in with season-long football, pro and college. Baseball's regular season is underway as well. The app is easy to use. You pick more or less on a few player stats and lock in your lineup, like this one right here. How about Tyler Warren, more than his receiving yards? Perfect timing for Jonathan Taylor and his more than rush touchdowns. That's 11.5. And we'll kind of make it an all Colts lineup by kind of hating a little bit on CJ Stroud with his more than 10.5 INTs. Not a good playoff performance for Coleridge up there. Prize Picks available in most states, including California, Florida, and Texas. Join millions of users and sign up for America's #1 sports picks app with this new user offer. That's a new offer. Play your first $5 and get $150 in lineups if you win. Use code HMA when you sign up. That is right. Prize Picks just switched up their offer, so there's no better time than now to join. Lock in and win that first lineup. That's code HMA at sign up to get $150 in bonus lineups if you win your first $5 lineup. All right, back now to more here on the Jonathan Taylor extension for the Colts. This does make him, like I mentioned, second highest paid running back in new money, behind only Bijan Robinson. I would guess that's actually going to make him third once the season gets going, because in theory, there should be a deal that gets done at some point in the not too distant future for one Jahmyr Gibbs. The Colts essentially are locking in their core now. Like, you have Alec Pierce at wide receiver, Josh Downs still under contract, which he's also probably due for an extension, hopefully soon. You have Daniel Jones, you have Shane Steichen, Chris Ballard is, on last year of his deal. I'll give Ballard credit, who I think has maybe survived longer than the average GM would have survived in this exact scenario, but he's at least now making moves to be aggressive. Like, he's not just kicking the can down the line, and like not really investing in a group. He's done that now with Pierce and Jones and Taylor. They're going to kind of have to go. Few more wrap-up thoughts here, but before we go, grade the Jonathan Taylor extension for me. A, B, C, D, or F. Of note, by the way, this does make, I had to go back and double check this. This does make Jonathan Taylor the third highest paid running back in terms of the guaranteed money. And there's a chance probably like some of the new money extension is fake money, but they already had the up to figure, so I doubt it. But he's third behind, obviously, Bijan Robinson and also Jeremiah Love, which is kind of crazy, but that's what happens when you spend a third overall pick on a fully guaranteed contract. Like, it gets really expensive. Like, that's just how it goes, and it's why you maybe don't want to draft a running back super early from a pure contractual perspective. But I think if you're picking the top running backs in the NFL, I have a tough time coming up with like three that are better than Jonathan Taylor. Yeah, maybe it's some combination of Bijan and Saquon, but hot take, as good as McCaffrey was last year, it wasn't like he was efficient. And Taylor was out of his mind last year. 1,500 yards, added almost 400 receiving, had 20 touchdowns, whatever it was. I know when a bunch of people in their fantasy leagues, like, I think worst case, he's the fourth best back in the NFL. And that's worst case. I think he's easily in the more comfortable, like, top 3 range. Like, he has been awesome, and he hasn't really shown the signs of like decline you might be worried about with paying a running back. Like, not that many backs get a third contract, the rookie, the second, and the third at this price. But, Taylor obviously missed a little bit of time in some previous years, but I think the wear and tear is not that much. I feel pretty good about this deal. So I like it for the Colts. Glad they're able to get it done with no drama. Always a good thing.